guys, so today I'm going to be talking about how to measure your horse for the gullet, or also known as the channel of your saddle, and how to know what size bars you need. First, I'm just going to talk about what the gullet and bars are on your saddle. So the gullet is the space between each side of your saddle, which is this part where this black is, that's your gullet. And you measure it by coming out in front here, and you measure from each point. And this is a 7.5 inch gullet. So your bars is part of your gullet, and your bars are just the angle of your gullet. So full or wide is about like that, standard, and then Arabian, and just keeps going a little bit smaller. So how to measure your horse for your gullet: you're going to need some sort of string or twine or something, and a scissors, and I use just a grooming blade to mark the points so I can measure it. You're going to come over to your horse, and about right when their withers are coming into the back is where you're going to be able to feel really well. There's a tendon in their back, and that tendon you don't want to ride on. So you can feel with your hand. You have to do some sort of a strong pressure to feel it, and there's going to be a little bit of a bump, and so his is right there. So I'm going to make a mark right there, maybe, so that I know that's where his tendon stops, right there. It's the edge of his tendon, I should say. And then we'll go do the other side. So once again, same thing on the other side. You're going to come to about where the wither starts meeting the back, and you're going to feel, and his is about right there. I'll mark it. Okay, and then you're going to take your twine, and on both sides you're going to take the end of your string, match it up to your line, and bring it over and mark or hold your string there, and then cut it off. And then you're going to measure that. So then with your measuring tape, you're going to measure your string. So George is about 6.5 or 7, and that's the minimum that he's going to need. I always go up at least 1/2 inch, maybe even up to 1 inch. It depends on how thick of a pad your horse needs. I use 1 inch thick pads, so that's why I have a 7.5 inch gullet for him, because he needs at least 6.5 or 7. So I go up. So another way to tell what size bars or gullet you're going to need is just by putting a saddle on your horse. So I'm going to throw my saddle on him. So if you're looking down your saddle, you should be able to fit 3 or 4 fingers. I can barely almost fit 4, but I can fit 3 in with his withers and where the gullet starts, which is once again your 2 points here. So if you have too many fingers that you can fit, then your bars are too narrow. If you have like 1 or 2 fingers that you can only fit, then your bars are too wide. So another way to tell if your bars are too big or too small is actually to come to the back of your saddle, and George still has a pocket here about 1/2 inch to 1 inch. So it's not suctioned down to his back, but it's not sticking up way up high either. And if your bars are too narrow, biggest thing you'll see with saddles, like Western saddles, is the skirt will actually flare out. Oh, thank you, sir. Their skirt will actually flare out because the horse's back is bending the leather so much that the skirt just starts coming out. So you should be able to, easily fit your hand underneath on both sides, up front and in back, so that it's not too snug, it's not too loose. You could easily just glide your hand underneath the saddle on both sides, and that'll give you a good indication on whether or not your bars are too big or too small. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, concerns, whatever it is, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Subscribe, check out our Facebook, we have an Instagram, and I'm not going to say how tall George is or anything like that because every horse is different, so it doesn't matter how tall he is. If your horse is the same height as his, they still might need a different size saddle. So if this worked for you, let me know. If you guys have a different way of measuring, let me know. I'd love to hear about it. And have an awesome day.